Welcome to More on That, a podcast by More Media Group. I'm your host, founder Emily Moore, joined by our COO, Will Caves.
This is a podcast about work, life, and the places they intertwine. Every episode we'll talk to great guests who are doing cool things or just making great things happen.
Today we got to sit down with two friends who we've known for a few years now, Connor Reeves and Matthew McLaughlin with Fertile Ground. We are on location at the brewery, and it's a really good talk just about how they started things here and keeping the main thing, and what they're looking forward to in the future. So here's More on That with Fertile Ground.
More on That is sponsored by Community Bank. These guys offer it all, from personal and business banking to financing and wealth management. They've got over 120 years of experience, and their home base is right here in Central Mississippi.
Yeah, we can't say enough good things about the team at Community Bank. We recently moved More Media's banking over to them, and everything has been so smooth. Every single person we've talked to has been helpful, kind, and easy to communicate with. I'm so thankful to have a bank I can reach out to and get personalized support from the same day.
They've got a ton of awesome services like their secure digital banking, and if you're dreaming of finally launching that business, there's a variety of business accounts you can choose from. Their experts will help you choose the right plan for you.
We love Community Bank, and we think you guys will too. Visit communitybank.net to learn more. That's communitybank.net, member FDIC. For those listening, not watching, we are at Fertile Ground Beer Company. So you may hear some background noises. It may be a little different, but it's fun for us. We haven't recorded anything outside of the studio yet, so thanks for letting us be here today.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's also a brew day, so if anybody watching, you may catch some of the guys in the back brewing beer right now. Today they're actually brewing Gale Murphy, our Irish Red.
Oh, I haven't tried
We
that
brew
one.
that in the springtime, so it'll be ready for St. Patty's Day. It's a taproom favorite and should be out in a few weeks, so excited about that.
Cool. So we'll get into how the brewing and stuff works in a little bit, but first off, want to talk about how Fertile Ground came to be. And we were just kind of talking about it before we got started, but you guys launched the brewery together as a partnership in Jackson that had no brewery before you guys came. So how did that come about? How did we end up here?
You know, just that quick history I think is so important for us, because at the time that we were approached about this doing a concept like a brewery in this development, the Belhaven Town Center, Lucky Town, a brewery in Jackson, had closed, and there was a couple-year gap. Jackson was the only capital city in the entire country that didn't have a brewery. And we were sad about that. I think a lot of other people were sad about that too. And so there was definitely, there was already a need there we saw. And then this opportunity came along, this Belhaven Town Center that we're a part of. Two local developers approached Matthew about this because of the work that the law firm has traditionally done with breweries and distilleries around the country. And we met with these guys in the spring of 2020, and they really wanted to have a brewery here. We thought it'd be a great spot. And then, like a lot of good ideas, the birth out of having a couple beers together, Matthew and I had gone back to the office that day, had a few beers on the porch, beautiful springtime. We said, why don't we do it? Which is how many crazy ideas begin, right?
Yeah.
And that was sort of the spark of it.
Yeah.
And we went home and asked our wives if that was, are we crazy and do you bless this? And they each rolled their eyes and said,
reluctantly did.
Yeah. And then it was off. It was just a matter of starting with the concept and what it could look like. And before we even got into talking about the space, it was like, what do we want this to be?
Yeah.
And what do we think would be really good for not just the city of Jackson, but Central Mississippi, and not just filling that need to be a brewery here, but also something that people could really adopt, a brand that would be really good.
Yeah.
Also beer that met people where they were, which is a lot of people in this market may have never been to a brewery before. Mm-hmm. Didn't have a lot of exposure to beer other than macro-produced beer that you can get at the grocery store. And we wanted to make a brand and beer that met them there and made it very inviting for all walks of life, that people that came into a tap room felt welcome, that it didn't feel like some sort of club that they didn't know how to navigate, but also that we had beers that were the kinds of beers, the styles that people in this market traditionally enjoyed. Mm-hmm. So we did a lot of research on that. We had hunches about that. We had some help from Millsaps, did some marketing research for us, and it lined up with what we thought people wanted to enjoy, and which has frankly, has proven to be true over the past almost 4 years now. We're going to celebrate 4 years of being open this May. So it's been a long journey, but I think starting at that very beginning was like, what does the identity of this brewery need to be from a brand and liquid perspective?
Yeah.
And how do we line that up with what Mississippians want? And I think it's been well adopted.
One thing we didn't say at the beginning was we worked with you guys at the beginning. And I remember when you called and you're like, hey, come to the office, we have a meeting. I was like, because we worked with the law firm first, and I was like, oh, we're getting fired. Like, you were just like, we got to have a face-to-face meeting. And I was like, okay, they're about to fire us. So that's all right, we had a good run, you know? And you're like, hey, this is top secret information. We're going to start a brewery. I was like, what? Like, I was like, but y'all had, from the beginning, it felt like you both had such a clear vision of what you wanted it to, or maybe from my beginning. Like, when you first told me, you knew exactly what you wanted it to look and feel like.
Well, I think, kind of building on what Connor said, we did, but it took a long time to get there. Both of us have, enjoyed beer and have enjoyed visiting breweries over the last, 15, 20 plus years all over the country. And when the developers approached us about this, the ask was like, which one of your clients wants a second location? Yeah. And so, we wanted to do something that was uniquely Jackson, and we felt like that was a good fit. And when we took that idea back to them, they were like, well, that's kind of what we were hoping you were going to come back with.
Yeah.
And so, I think Connor has homebrewed a couple of times.
It wasn't very good.
I've never brewed beer, so we did not have any technical ability in that regard, but I think we felt like we could sort of triangulate resources based on our industry experience and, at least lay the foundation for something that we thought could be very successful. The name is what a lot of people ask us about, and that was derivative of a TEDx event that was held in Fondren. And I had the good fortune of being able to attend that, which is a really amazing experience, watching all sorts of like-minded people from all over the state come and gather and talk about the potential that Jackson had. And so the name just made sense, and so we kind of set down a path, and there was alignment, I think, between the two of us in terms of what we wanted from this place, what we wanted it to be from a space perspective, from a beer perspective, and it's wild looking back now 4 years. It hasn't been easy. We've made a lot of decisions that I would go back and do things differently, but I think the validating part is like people bought in and they are enjoying our product in the occasions that we designed them for, which is kind of cool.
I want to pause on the name. Can you elaborate a little on, I know it came from the TEDx talk, but on what it means?
So Fertile Ground to us, or at the time, I think, the group of people that put that TEDx event together wanted the theme to be that Jackson has all of this, completely untapped potential. And it did at the time, and it still does. Mm-hmm. And so this fertile ground of ideas and creative energy and entrepreneurial spirit was just sort of permeating underneath the surface, and we needed something to kind of bring that to light. And I think the TEDx event did a lot to further that, and we just felt like this was a natural way to build upon that conceptually, and designing a third space for the community, for people to come and gather and hang out with their family and friends. And
we also wanted a brand that hopefully would attract people to grow interest in locally made beer, and that there's a lot of growth opportunities in locally made beer in Mississippi. We're not a state that has a lot of breweries, so there's still a lot of upward momentum for locally made beer adoption across the state. So we wanted to have a name and a space that could facilitate that. One other layer of that was that tap rooms, as far back as tap rooms have existed, whether they're called a bar or a tap room, whatever, places where beer is sold all over the world have been places where people have traditionally gathered. They've met new people, they've had a few beers, and they've cooked up ideas. And so we wanted this place to be a fertile ground for that, right? Folks to gather here for whatever reason, meet new people, and maybe come up with their own thing they want to do, whether it's a business idea or community development or whatever it may be. And serving as that kind of location, but also beer, that whether they're here or they're at home or whatever, that would kind of facilitate that. And so that was sort of, when we decided on that early on, it took a long time to get there. Landing on that was the big first step. And then from there, it was figuring out, okay, let's look at breweries around the country that we think have done things really well. What did they do well? And why have they been successful? And I don't mean because they're really big. They don't have to be big. They could be small, but they're really strong brand, regardless of how big they are. What did they do right? And also, we looked at others and said, what have people done wrong? And not saying that we've used that to not make any mistakes. Far from it. I think anytime you start a business, you're going to learn all kinds of stuff every day. I mean, we're almost 4 years into this. I'm still learning every day. Take that kind of collective knowledge and looking at everyone else's experiences to help us try to start off on the right foot, particularly with our brand and our products. Mm-hmm. So assembling a great team to make products that people don't just drink because they feel some sort of obligation to support it because it's local. I wanted beer that people were like, I actually like this. I really want to drink this.
It's the best option.
It's the
best product.
Yeah, I want to buy this over something else because I enjoy it. Great.
Yeah, I think that's an important piece because it's like you said, you guys didn't brew. So you could have easily been like, hey, we have this idea. We know the right people. We can make it a big thing. We just need decent beer. But you were like, no, we want it to be excellent. And I think that's a big part of why it's been so successful.
And like our entire approach to this entire project and business was, what does Brewery 2.0 look like? Because for the longest time, people got away with we just make local beer. And people, like to Connor's point, felt compelled to support it because it was local. And a lot of times that beer was not fantastic. It wasn't great.
Or because it was new and exciting.
Yeah,
we're just glad to have it. And
you have a cool space here too, so you could get away with it.
Well, correct. But the space too was like, Brewery 1.0, just talking about the physical space, is very industrialized and chalkboards and metal and open and all of that. And that's a turnoff to some people. And we truly wanted this to be open and inviting to everybody, which is why we went in the complete opposite direction from a design aesthetic perspective. I mean, you walk in here, I'm proud to say that we have, groups of females that will come in after work for a happy hour. Yeah. Like that does not.
Well, I think it's beautiful space.
It's gorgeous. We had a very talented designer and, her sort of leading us down this path was a really cool experience. And I think she killed it.
Yeah, and you can tell that a lot of thought went into it. Like everything is very intentional, and I think that it all works together. But going back to the finding the right brewer. Like that was clearly something that was going to be important to you.
Right. Yeah, because you got the brand, you got the space.
And as you
now
mentioned,
get the beer,
it's not a huge thing in Mississippi. Right. So what did that process look like?
Well, it was wild.
Serendipitous is probably
very
the right
serendipitous.
word.
But we did what any business, we put out a post on, whatever it was, monster.com or Indeed or something like that. Like
beerbrewers.com.
Yeah, some brewer.
There was some brewery posting websites.
And we had some interest from some people that had brewed at like some really amazing breweries in Colorado and North Carolina, like craft beer sort of epicenters. And it was completely fortuitous that we got connected to William Payton, our head brewer, through Chaz Lindsay and Virgie Lindsay. Chaz was in El Paso at the time. And that's where William was, brewing at a small brewery there. And I can't remember exactly what the connection point was, but
I think Virgie told Chaz about what we were doing. Maybe he'd heard about it, and he reached out and said, "Hey, if y'all are looking for a brewer, you need to talk to my buddy William." Yeah. He got us in touch. We all spent a lot of time on the phone with him about talking about beer and what kind of beers does he like to brew, and it's kind of the normal stuff you would talk about. But these became longer and longer conversations, and it was like, okay, I think this is something here. He sent us some of his beer in the mail so we could try it, and we're like, this guy makes awesome beer,
Well, it was interesting because we got a whole bunch of it in the mail, and like I want to say it was like the Tuesday before he was supposed to come in town to like visit us. Mm-hmm. And Connor and I were like, we need to actually drink this before he gets here or try it to make sure that we're on the right track. And I remember I was like, we looked at our watches and it was, like 10 or 10:30 on a Tuesday morning, and like, we got to do this. We got to do it right now. This is the only time that the two of us are together. So we poured them up, and we sitting there tasting. Was like, okay, this is this is it. And then the question was like, did he actually make this? Or did he just send us something?
Because it was like so good, you just were.
It was fantastic.
You just don't know.
You just don't know. And so like he came for an in-person visit. We brought him in for the weekend, and we wanted to make sure that he was committed to moving his family from El Paso to Jackson, Mississippi, and he had a great time. We spent a long weekend with him, offered him the job, and then he came back out, I guess probably about a month or so later with Kayla and Liam. And
a note for the listener: William just walked in the room, so he heard us talking about him. He was like, "Oh, me."
Very modest.
I know, but I will say, when you guys first launched, you did a podcast, and he told his story on it, and I remember hearing him talk about it. It's like, we've had conversations about this. It is so fun to be around people who are passionate about what they do, and it energizes you. And like when you hear him talk about beer, it energized me, and I don't care about brewing beer. Like you can tell when someone's truly passionate, and he is very passionate about it.
I would say passionate and also incredibly thoughtful about what he wants to make and then how he wants to make it. He cares as much as we do, probably more about making sure that the products we put out are high quality. And if it's not, doesn't pass the test, we're not going to put it out in the tap room. We're not going to let it out the door to go to a store or a restaurant or bar. And that was a big piece of this, was like, we have to have really good quality control. We want to make sure that no matter if you're in here having a beer or you're out somewhere else, that you get the same product every time, because you're only as good as the last beer somebody bought from you. Right, and if they have a bad experience, then, and look, we get it right most of the time. We've had to make some adjustments here and there, but we've got a great team who really hammers in on the process and the products, which gives me the confidence when we're out there, introducing it to a market or a new beer in the tap room. Like, I know that's going to be a high quality product. Especially if it's a style that I've never even had before, that it's going to be something new, but it's going to be good. It's going to be a great representation of whatever that style is.
The style was going to be my question. It just like, so I don't love an IPA. I like a Pilsner. Your all's Pilsner is great. You should go try it if you're listening or watching. But how do you look at and say, if I'm not I don't know what you guys prefer. That's a great question, actually. Which one do you guys prefer? And how do you kind of arrive at like, hey, this is our menu, so to speak, of beers?
Yeah, I would say that so there's two different. There's ales and lagers, and we tend to gravitate more to the lager side of the spectrum. We're not a full-fledged lager house. We do make IPAs, we make golden ales, and we make other ales. My favorite styles of beers are our lighter lagers that we make, our Pilsner, our Helles lager, our Mexican lager that's going to be coming out soon, because those are what I can drink in a whole bunch of different occasions in Mississippi, and that frankly is a flavor profile, or their flavor profiles in those beers that are familiar with what Mississippians are used to drinking. And so it's beers that we all enjoy. I mean, you could walk in the back too, and our walk-in, there's probably Miller High Life, PBR, and probably some other, macro products, but they all tend to lean more towards lagers. So
that's what most Mississippians like to drink anyway. And our guys have the skills to make a variety of beers, which is, we try to keep a variety on the tap room. But when it comes down to it, the numbers don't lie. Most Mississippians want to drink lagers, beers that are light, refreshing, crispy, and go with every occasion you can think of in Mississippi. Where you can take a 6-pack to somebody's cookout and everybody will probably enjoy that beer. And but if you like IPAs or something like that, we've got a little bit of everything for everybody here. That was a big part of it. We wanted somebody to walk in the door here, whether they've been to a brewery before or not. We wanted you to find at least one, hopefully multiple beers that you like, which means having a nice variety. But when it comes down to it, most people drink lagers, and our guys do a great job of not just making our house Pilsner, which is our top selling beer, but also making variations of Pilsners, which I really never thought about before. Absolutely. And then you can say, man, I love Fertile Ground Pilsner, but I kind of like this, Black Forest Pils, which is a different kind of German Pilsner.
I bet we've probably made 20 to 25 different Pilsners over the last 4 years. And it's like, to Connor, I didn't realize that there were that many different variations of that style of beer too. But, William has been fortunate to travel extensively through Europe, and bringing those experiences into what we do has been really, really fun. And is introducing an Italian Pils or a French Pilsner to Mississippians has been really kind of cool.
Yeah. So I want to talk also about, speaking of introducing them to Mississippians, you've had the opportunity to be in some of the bigger box stores. People don't have to come to the brewery to get your stuff. I'd love to hear about just how that, obviously you want more people to drink your beer, right? That you sell more, you make more, whatever. But what was the process like of getting that in stores, and has that, is it, I'm sure it's difficult.
It's very challenging right now. So the industry is crazy complicated, just from a regulatory perspective, from a manufacturing perspective, but getting it in retail is more challenging now than it ever has been. Retailers have experienced kind of SKU overload over the last 5 to 10 years, and things that aren't selling at certain velocities are getting cut out. And so getting a placement in a big box retailer is really, really, really challenging. Yep. And then once you're there, you have to keep up. Otherwise they'll kick you out. And so that's been our real challenge recently is the keeping up part.
Predominantly because when the equipment we started out with is not the equipment we have now. We've had to add and add and add as we have gone out into distribution so that we can keep up with demand, which takes money and time. Yep. Ordering equipment, getting it installed, upgrading. We had a canning line that could can 1 can at a time, and that was wearing us out. So then we had to upgrade to a much larger piece of equipment, adding more tanks. And so now we've got it into a spot where we've got tanks to, for the most part, make beers for the tap room, and then also larger tanks to make specific beers for the market. Mm-hmm. But what we can't do is take every beer that we make here in the tap room and also sell it out in distribution. There'd be way too many. Yeah. Plus, we wouldn't be able to make enough to actually cover up the market. So we very intentionally have limited what we've made for the market to date 3 beers. Mm-hmm. It's our Fertile Ground Pilsner, it's Forgotten Space IPA, and then it's Colson's Golden Ale. And Colson's was an existing brand before we started, and through a great partnership with the founder of that brand, brought Colson's into the Fertile Ground fold. So we own Colson's now. It's part of Fertile Ground.
That was another meeting that I thought I was getting fired when you were like, hey, we need a meeting. You're like, we're buying Colson's.
Colson's has existed in this market for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Before we took it on? Before we took it on. I think it's been around for probably 7 or 8. Yeah, 8 or 9 years.
And now it's part of our portfolio, and it's just another great beer that people can enjoy anywhere. And so we've limited to those 3 very intentionally, because when we started out in distribution, it's predominantly just in this market, and it was only in certain retailers, bars, and what we call off-premise, which means certain grocery stores, certain gas stations, things like that. And then we were able to get into some big box retailers locally, and that I joke, it's kind of like the dog that chases a school bus, and then the dog catches a school bus, and you're like, what do you do? Right. It's a whole thing you got to keep up with. Yeah. But to your point earlier, there's a lot of people that come to the tap room a lot, but there's also people that support our brand in the suburbs. They buy our beer regularly, which we greatly appreciate, and this allowed them to be able to do that at home. And so that's been really fun to see that, and trying to keep up with the demand locally has been a challenge, but really fun too. And kind of managing both sides of that. The tap room with the high variety and events here, but then also keeping up with the demand out in the market to grow the overall Fertile Ground brand wherever people are. So
it's hard too, because the Pilsner, for example, takes 6 weeks to make. It is the longest. It takes the longest time for any of our beers. Whereas Forgotten Space, we can we can get liquid in tank and then in cans within 2.5 weeks. And so like forecasting out gets to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's not like you run out, you can go make some more that day.
Right, it's not. Right,
You can't make it any faster.
You
can make more of it.
We can't just go to Costco and buy a bunch of ingredients to throw together.
Yeah. But then you don't want to make too much and then have nothing to do with it. Like it's such a
It is a very, and then expanding into other markets, like we've been very deliberate not to do that, right? Because we weren't really sure what the full demand was here in the Jackson metro area, and we still don't know. I mean, since we started, I bet we've spent $100 on marketing and advertising, and which is not a lot, obviously.
But it speaks to your product and the environment here.
Yeah.
I think so much of it is word of mouth, because once you either come here and hang out or try a beer, you want to tell somebody about it.
We love that organic growth. That base is really, really strong, and we know that like when we do really kind of push that, it's going to make that process a lot easier. But we got to figure out the production cadence in the back and making sure that we have enough for the tap room and we have enough for our distributors, which is always kind of a constant struggle.
Yeah, that's only the kind of one half of the equation, which is like all the things that we thought of and are doing, et cetera. The other side of that equation is a community that has supported us, right? Like we could do all those things and it still not be, popular or whatever. It's because there's a whole group of people in this market that I for whatever reason, I really appreciate, have adopted us as their go-to, I would say local brand. Well, they're only brewery. So when I say local, I mean, Mississippi brands or regional brands. I'm incredibly grateful. Every time we throw a big event here at the brewery, I'm here usually early morning setting up and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I wonder if everybody's going to show up.
Comes.
I hope somebody shows up to this event. And you know what? They do. It's
Every
always
time.
a ton of people show up. I'm like, man, they could have spent their time doing anything today.
Right.
And they came here. Yeah. And that gives me a lot of confidence.
With their friends and their family.
Yeah,
and their
like
kids,
they came down here. They could do whatever they wanted today, and they came down here. I look at every night before I go to bed. I look at the sales from the day, and I think about all the people that came in today. And I'm like, man, thank you for all these people that came in. They could have done whatever they wanted today, and they came here. And so that's that other piece. It's been adopted. We feel like it's been well adopted, and it's just overwhelming to gratitude for that. To be supported like that.
Well, I think it is partially, like I said, what you guys created. You had the vision from the beginning. Third space, I think in that very first meeting, you mentioned that phrase and wanting this to be that. But also the stat that we used a lot when we were promoting it was that Jackson was the only capital city without a brewery. I think there's a lot of pride. Like people want something like Fertile Ground to rally behind. And now there's a sense of pride and ownership of that's my city's brewery. We were, I think in line at Disney World or Chattanooga. We were out of town somewhere in the last year, and Tyler had on his Fertile Ground hat, and a guy was like, "Hey, are you from Jackson?" And we were like, "Yeah," and he was too. And it was like he knew Fertile Ground.
It happens all the time.
Hat.
We've had people send us pictures of folks at Disney World wearing our T-shirt.
Yeah.
I've run into people at soccer tournaments wearing a hat or a T-shirt
in the wild.
It
never gets old.
in the way wild, I ran into somebody
Not
in
here,
Oxford,
yeah.
right? It's like they're in Orlando, Florida, wearing one of our.
Talk about getting the warm fuzzies. Every time I
wild.
get that, even almost 4 years in, it's still the first time I see it.
Yeah.
And it's I'm like, again, you could have worn whatever hat or T-shirt you wanted today, and you wore that. I appreciate that very much.
But there's this. I think that's what I was trying to say is I feel like Jackson's come around it because you've created a great space, but also it wanted a brewery to be able to rally behind and that be theirs. And what you guys have made is something to be proud of.
Well, and going back to William, a testament to his ability. What really gets me excited too is when we have somebody come in town from a Denver, Colorado, or an Asheville, North Carolina, or Germany, and they're like, we have never had a better interpretation of this beer style anywhere in the world, And we've had people from Munich in here that have said, this Pilsner is what we're used to drinking at home, and it's like, wow,
it's high praise.
It's unbelievable.
Super high praise, and I'm really biased. Obviously, I'm as committed as I possibly could be. I love drinking our beer, but I'm as close to it as you can get.
Yeah.
So if somebody else who's not, they have nothing, they don't have to say that at all, and they're like, this is really good, and they want to keep buying it, I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad other people like it too. And
Yeah. That is
Check
always
that
the
box.
yeah. That's always the well, I like it, but I hope somebody else does.
Yeah.
You've kind of alluded to like you've thought about expanding, but haven't wanted to yet. Is there anything next or on the horizon for Fertile Ground, or for you guys?
I would say right. I mean, frankly, almost 4 years in, we are working towards hitting max capacity here. We're not there yet. We are on our way. And so for us, it's about being as entrenched in this market as we can. That's our focus right now. Is like we've kind of cleared the first hurdle. Like we've made it a couple years. We've gotten out into this market, great. But like, how do we get in even deeper right here? And from a marketing perspective, but also like we're exploring some other, at least one big other style of beer that I think will meet people even more where they are.
Is it the non-alcoholic beer?
No.
I've been trying to get you guys because I was pregnant when y'all were starting this. Remember?
They're hard to make. They're hard to make, and with what Athletic has done in that space, there's just no.
They do a really good one.
There's just no sense in trying to compete.
I just remember whenever you guys were first opening, I was pregnant with my second, and I came and did a photo shoot. Do you remember, like, because we were trying to get some photos for the website and stuff, and I would just like hide behind the table, and I had a non-alcoholic beer in my glass that we were pretending was a Fertile Ground beer.
You know, there's definitely there's a movement across the country for people that are more interested in drinking NA beers than ever before. And we sell a lot of Athletic branded NA beers.
Yeah.
They also make probably the best ones in the whole country, I think. And so that's fine.
I know.
And
I just have to mess with
But,
that.
but there is also a growing trend to go even lighter than some of the stuff that we've made. You know, get into that 3.5, high 2% ABV. That's a big market opportunity that we see.
it's also true to the kinds of beers that we make already.
Right.
And so that's to us is sort of the next frontier is it's getting up. I feel like we've already been adopted pretty well, but like taking another beer to even more use cases in Mississippi. And, you know, we never set out to try to convert somebody all they drink is macro beer and convert them 100% to Fertile Ground beer. That's unrealistic. But if I can make a beer that they want to drink sometimes, I feel like that moves the needle a whole lot. You know, they enjoy it for the same reasons they enjoy whatever macro beer they're drinking, and they will drink some of ours sometimes. I consider it a huge win. And so that's to me is the next frontier is like, I think we can we've got something in development that I think will be really in that category.
We've had a lot of interest from a number of different communities across Mississippi about coming and opening up a second tap room or a second small brew pub, which is flattering, and it's having the discipline to kind of say no to some of those opportunities right now. Well, it is, and the time has to be right, the location has to be right. You know, we had a letter of intent on another, space, and fortunately that didn't work out because we weren't ready, right, at the time. And so I think it's really important for us right now, to Connor's point, to like get in as deep as we possibly can with this core group of supporters, Jackson metro area, where we kind of relaunched Hattiesburg recently too, but also figuring out that that next product that we think will resonate with a lot of Mississippians.
You and I both worked on a campaign together, and there was a person on the campaign that whenever we'd all be round tabling and brainstorming about whether we wanted to do this, that, or the other, he would always say, we need to keep the main thing the main thing, right? He'd bring us back to get back to do the thing that you set out to do, and don't get distracted with everything else. And we've had to use that so many times to say, we're not going to chase that. Don't get distracted with this. Let's do one thing and do that as well as we can.
And that takes a lot of discipline.
It takes a ton.
It's been really hard because they're fun stuff. I'm like, oh, that'd be super fun. Let's do it.
And you look at what other breweries have been around the country have been doing, like they have lost placements in retail, and that's created gaps in volume, and they need to keep tanks filled. So they're chasing seltzers, which you can turn in 6 hours, and THC beverages and all of those kinds of things. And those could have been short-term financial kind of wins for us, but not long-term, not part of the long-term strategy. And it has been hard to just say, nope, we gotta keep grinding. We gotta keep the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I still, as soon as you said somebody said something or used this advice, I knew exactly what you were going to say because I carry that with me too. And I feel like it's just good. It's good business advice. It's good life advice because it is so tempting to try to chase quick things.
Well, the further away, every step you get away from sort of your core offering, you're just eroding what you set out to do until eventually you kind of wake up and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, what is the brand?
What
anymore?
is it? What are we? Yeah. And we don't want that. We've tried to communicate a very clear message of who we are and what we are, and there's a lot of value there, and we want to try to preserve it. Sure.
We've taken a lot over the years from the branding company that we worked with. Their name is Kodo Design out of Indianapolis. They primarily do alcohol beverage branding or just beverage branding in general. And their team thinks on a different level about establishing a brand and about whether it's your core brand like Fertile Ground or trying to grow a product brand like Forgotten Space. And how to integrate new brands in or sub-brands, and just it's a whole architecture of things that I never really thought about, but they're incredibly thoughtful about that. They write about it all the time. And so I think we've tried to use their industry expertise to help us grow and really establish the Fertile Ground brand. And that's really keeping the main thing is as important it is on the liquid side and opportunity side. It's also from a branding perspective. That's a real challenge to stay narrow, to know what is your brand identity, and to just plow ahead with that and not bring a bunch of other stuff in, which is primarily why almost every can you buy here looks the same.
Yeah.
Right. The brand looks the same. The colors change, the name of the beer changes, but that's what we set out to do.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just Connor and I got untold time, thousands of hours, like analyzing and talking about and debating and thinking about every bit of minutia that goes into this, like the positioning of letters and the font style and how we communicate on social media and what we say and how we say it, and
learning from when we have deviated and gone, that was an error. And why was it an error? Well, because we didn't stick to what we said we were going to do, and that was the result. Like, okay, well that further confirms. Let's stick to what we were setting out to do in the first place.
This episode is sponsored by Fuse.cloud. Fuse.cloud delivers technology solutions to thousands of businesses across the country. We've used them for internet at our office for years, and we couldn't be happier. Their customer service is seriously top-notch.
Yeah, we don't often have issues, but whenever we do, they're always immediately ready to jump in and help. We love these guys so much that we even named our password after one of their team members for a while.
Yeah, Ben is the bomb.
And our clients were always so confused, like, who's Ben?
And while you aren't required to reference their team in your password, you should look into using Fuse.cloud for your business and internet needs.
They also offer other services like voice and managed IT, and they're based right here at home in Jackson, Mississippi.
Check them out online at fuse.cloud. That's FUSE.cloud.
So every episode we ask our guests, like, what's your more on that? That's the podcast name, right? And so what is the thing that you guys could, we sort of alluded to some of this probably, but the thing that you guys could talk about forever, the thing, your soapbox, the things that you want to be asked, this is what
doesn't have
I would
to be
like to talk
beer
about.
brewery related, but it can
whatever.
be.
Yeah.
I think it comes back to identity, right? It's knowing what your identity is as a company and then leaning into that and seeing where it takes you. And so like we've established that now. And so I'm really excited about further entrenching that with folks who don't know us yet, but then also taking it to the next step for those that already do. How can we be even more a part of it? William, our brewer, said something one time not long ago that just really resonated with me. He said, I want to make the kind of beers that you basically forget about in a social setting, right? Which is not what you think, right?
Yeah.
I don't want the beer to be the topic of conversation at a cookout, right? I want it to be so good that it's just in the background. It's just part of the event. You have it, everyone's enjoying it, but that's not people saying, what is this? Let's talk about that. And it's like, that's not how people really enjoy
It kind
stuff.
of becomes a staple.
Yeah, it gets to the point where you enjoy it, and it's just part of it, and it just enhances whatever the event or whatever the occasion
It's
is.
a subtle compliment
right?
to the
You
event.
take a case of our beer to the deer camp, and it's not about that. It's about your time together with friends, enjoying whatever it is. It's somebody's having a birthday party, and you show up with a couple 6-packs, and it's great. They like that. But that's not the purpose of getting together. It's just in the background. And if we can get to that point, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think we're on our way, but time will tell.
My more on that is very similar to Connor's, but I guess I would take it one step further, and it's like taking what we've done and can we scale it? Like, can we take it statewide? Can we take it to other parts of Mississippi where we know it's going to fit with the occasion, of cooking out and being on the lake and doing all of those kind of fun Mississippi things. That to me is exciting, is knowing that there's people out there that have not enjoyed this, right? They have not been in the tap room, they have not had any of our products, and that gets me.
There's still so much opportunity out there.
Tremendous amount of opportunity.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
So how can people find you online? How can they find you on socials? Where are you guys at?
Fertile Ground Beer is our Instagram handle. Check us out there. I do a lot of our posting throughout the week about what's going on, and we try to keep that up to date about events. That's a great way to know about new beers, about events going on, things like that. Our website, fertilegroundbeer.com. That's a great way to know about the same kind of things. Just come in the tap room too. Come in here, ask around, ask bartenders what's going on and what's new on tap. We have new stuff coming out, not every week, but just about. And trying to keep stuff on that maybe your favorite. It's back on. It's maybe been a period of time. So
I really enjoyed talking to you guys today. I appreciate y'all making time. I know I've told y'all this through the years, but every time I talk to you guys, I do leave feeling like excited and energized because like I talked about William, you guys are like that. Y'all are always doing something. You're always making moves. You're always looking at what's next and focused on what's now. And it's just energizing and it's fun to talk to people like you. So I appreciate y'all talking with us today.
I appreciate y'all.
So much. And thank you for listening to our podcast today. You can check us out online at themoremediagroup.com or on Instagram at More Media Group. That's more with 2 O's. And we hope to see you soon. Thanks.
This may be obvious, but More on That is sponsored in part by our company, More Media Group. We're a full-service marketing and public relations agency located in Jackson, Mississippi. We offer help with public relations, advertising, social media, branding, and website design.
Yeah, if it falls under the marketing umbrella, we can help. Our team has worked with clients across several industries, including tourism, healthcare, economic development, higher ed, food and beverage, and more.
If you think we'd be a good fit, check us out at themoremediagroup.com. That's more with 2 O's. Before we go, we want to give one more thank you to our presenting sponsor, Community Bank. Whether you're looking for personal or business banking, Community Bank is the place to go.
They're helpful, responsive, and always updating their services to provide the very best banking options to their customers. Visit communitybank.net to learn more. Member FDIC.